Today we come together to honour the final wishes of Elizabeth Ann Richards, lovingly known as Betty. Betty is the beloved mother of Evelyn, Aileen and Peter, their partners Bruce, Doug and Margaret, and treasured grandmother of Lisa, Philip, Deborah and Paul. Betty, now reunited with her loving husband of 60 years, Alfred, spoke often of her love for the Great Ocean Road. The juxtaposition of the crashing waves on the beach and the beautiful cascading waters at Erskine Falls amid the lush forest captivated both Betty and Alfred. Given that both of them were born and raised in Torquay, they knew the familiar curves of the Great Ocean Road, and when they were dating would often take trips to Lorne. It is at Erskine Falls that Alfred proposed to Betty. She joyfully accepted and they were married a year later. Being of modest means, Betty and Alfred spent their honeymoon driving the Great Ocean Road, stopping at Lorne to visit their special place. As the years went by and their family grew, annual holidays and long weekends were spent at Lorne Caravan Park, where their children came to love the beach, forest and waterfalls as much as their parents. This meant the world to Betty and Alfred, who continued to make regular trips to Erskine Falls right up until Alfred suffered a hip injury and could no longer make the climb to the falls. Alfred encouraged Betty to continue to visit the falls, but Betty maintained that without Alfred by her side, it could never be the same. In a touching and loving gesture, Alfred commissioned a local artist to paint their special place as a gift to Betty on their 60th wedding anniversary. Betty was moved to tears when presented with this carefully chosen gift that signified her husband's love and devotion. This would be the final gift that Alfred would ever give Betty, as he suffered a fatal heart attack a few months later. Betty, although heartbroken from the death of her lifelong friend and partner, was comforted not only by her supportive family but also by the painting. She would sit in her window seat on sunny days with a pot of tea, listening to her and Alfred's favourite records and studying the painting. She swore every time she looked she could see some nuance that she hadn't noted before, a colour, a rock, a leaf, that gave her new joy. It was in the window seat that Betty peacefully passed away, time no longer her friend. Betty has always told her family to celebrate her life when she passed, and for them to be comforted by the fact that her and her beloved Alfred would be reunited. And so here we are today at Erskine Falls, and with us we have both Betty and Alfred's ashes to scatter together so that they can stay together forever at their special place. Deborah has asked me to share a poem. The poem is Under the Waterfall by Thomas Hardy. Whenever I plunge my arm like this in a basin of water, I never miss the sweet sharp sense of a fugitive day, fetched back from the thickening shroud of grey. Hence the only prime and real love rhyme that I know by heart and that leaves no smart is the pearl of a little valley fall, about 3 spans wide and 2 spans tall, over a table of solid rock and into a scoop of the self-same block, the pearl of a runlet that never ceases, in stir of kingdoms, in wars, in pieces. With a hollow, boiling voice it speaks, and has spoken since hills were turfless peaks. And why gives this the only prime idea to you of a real love rhyme? And why does plunging your arm in a bowl full of spring water bring throbs to your soul? Well, under the fall in a crease of the stone, though where precisely no one's ever known, jammed darkly, nothing to show how prized, and by now with its smoothness opalized, is a drinking glass, for down that it pass, my love and I walked under a sky of blue and leaf wove awning of green in the burn of August to paint the scene. And we placed our basket of fruit and wine by the runlet's rim where we sat to dine. And when we had drunk from the glass together, arched by the oak copes from the weather, I held the vessel to rinse in the fall, where it slipped and sank and was past recall. Though we stooped and plumbed the little abyss with long bared arms, there the glass still is. And as I said, if I thrust my arm below, cold water in a basin, bowl or throw, from the past awakens a sense of that time, and the glass we used, and the cascades rhyme. The basin seems the pool and its edge, the hard smooth face of the brookside ledge, and the leafy pattern of chinaware, the hanging plants that were bathing there. By night, by day, when it shines or lowers, there lies intact that chalice of ours, and its presence adds to the rhyme of love, persistently sung by the fall above. No lip has touched it since his and mine, in turn therefore sipped lover's wine. Evelyn, Aileen and Peter, when I asked if you wanted to play any music, you all smiled at each other knowingly. There was one song and one song only that you knew Betty would want played. As the song plays, may each of you come forward and scatter the ashes of Betty and Alfred. May you all feel peace and joy within your hearts, knowing that Betty and Alfred will be together for an eternity at this, their special place.